Well, good morning, everybody. As you can see, it is a bright, sunny morning here in Florida. But don't let that fool you. There's a hurricane brewing out there, headed our way. As everybody knows, Hurricane Irma. I guess there's another one right behind it, and Puerto Rico has already been hit by it. I've heard some stories on the radio about what people in Puerto Rico are suffering. And I'm really hoping it doesn't come to that here. But as it turns out, it looks like the hurricane is veering to the east, which is semi-good news for us because we're kind of smack dab in the middle of Florida. And we're still going to get a lot of effect either way. It doesn't really make any difference. But nevertheless, one of the things I considered was going up to Georgia where my mother lives, somewhere up the mountains, but it looks like the way the hurricane is traveling, they might sustain a lot of damage, just like we would here, because of just the width of the hurricane. So anyway, there's going to be a lot of people out there that need help, and so it's going to come in many different ways. And today I want to talk to you about being thankful. Are you thankful for what you have? Are you thankful for the help that is sent your way whenever you've had a time in your life that you needed something and you were delivered from it, so to speak? You were refreshed and resupplied, and somehow a need was met. How did you express your thankfulness, and how thankful were you? And the reason I ask this is because it's a very strange thing. It seems like a no-brainer that when there's a dire need for something, that the automatic response would be, well, thank you so much. You don't have any idea how much I appreciate it. But not everybody's like that. It became quite clear to me when my family went to, in a joint effort with the church that we were at the time, we went to this place called the Talbot House here in Lakeland. It's a place where it's a homeless shelter, and what we were doing that night, we showed up and we helped serve food. And it was kind of like a assembly line kind of setup where you dish it out in their plate, and just like a cafeteria, like at school. So we were doing that, and I had never done anything like that before. And so my family and another family, a couple of families were all doing this, and we were told at the very beginning that you should, we had to ration out the food to make it stretch because there's so many. And so we were told exactly how to do it. And I was amazed. A lot of people were very thankful. A lot of the homeless people that walked through our line were very thankful for what they got. And this might be the only place they were getting any food. But there were some that I was really taken aback by. They would come through and they'd give us dirty looks. And they go, "Are you serious? That's all you're giving me? You're giving me that? I don't want that." And I was floored because I guess I thought to myself, if I was in that position, I would want that need met and I wouldn't complain. There's the old saying, beggars can't be choosers, right? But they were actually being fed good food. It was really good. In fact, I would have eaten it. And what I mean by that is that we weren't giving them slop. We weren't feeding them from a trough. And there were men, women, and children that went through that line. But I was just amazed at that. And, during this time when the hurricanes are blasting through, we saw this in New Orleans, we see it in Texas, and we've seen it in Florida when Hurricane Andrew came through. So many people turn out to meet the needs of those who cannot help themselves. And you see a lot of good stories on the news about it, and a lot of good things come out of it. But I can assure you, there are people out there who just cannot be grateful. And I want to kind of, send a flare out saying, just be careful, don't take it for granted, don't take any kind of help for granted, even if you're not going through this kind of thing. Express your gratefulness. Don't assume that people think that you're grateful. Actually say the words. My dad was a very My dad was a very good person at showing his gratefulness. And in fact, that's one of the things that people remember about him. He almost couldn't say thank you enough. And I've kind of picked that up from him. I probably don't do as much as he did, but in quite in the way he did. But he was a very grateful person. It's very important to say thank you. One of my pet peeves is when you hold the door open for a lady or anybody. They walk through and they don't even acknowledge you. I mean, they don't say thank you. They don't look at you. They don't say anything. And sometimes I'll say, you're welcome. But a lot of times I say nothing at all because it doesn't make any difference. It still falls on deaf ears. I just don't like ungrateful people. And the little backdrop story I have for this is, as an example, is, some thousands of years ago, 4,000, 6,000 some odd years ago, when Moses led the children of Israel out of Egypt, they wandered in the desert for a very long period of time. The children of Israel were getting I say children, I don't mean little kids. I mean, they're families, all sorts of ages, but that's what they were called. In case you don't know the stories, the children of Israel were just the people of Israel being led out of Egypt, out of slavery. Well, they began to complain because it wasn't as easy as they thought it was going to be. It did not come in the way that they thought it should. And so they were hungry, and they complained that they were hungry. They complained to God. They complained to Moses. And overnight, these little white wafers would show up on the ground when they woke up in the morning, and they didn't know what to call it. And it became the moniker that was attached to this food was called manna. Now, manna in Hebrew is made up of two different words, and I don't want to butcher the pronunciation, but my clearest understanding of how that's pronounced is ma'ana, which literally means, what is it? Which is probably what they said when they saw it. They probably looked at it and said, what is it? But they could eat it. And it sustained them. It met their need. And they ate it for quite a long time. And there was regulations behind it. You could only gather what you could eat, I believe, what it was in a day. If you gathered more than that, when you woke up in the morning, it would be spoiled. But there was sufficient amount for everybody. God met their need. And you know what? They still complained about it. They still griped and complained about it. Then God sent them quail. And he sent so much of it to them that they became sick. They gorged themselves on this. And yet they still couldn't be thankful. I'm sure they were at first. But they couldn't sustain a spirit of gratefulness. And I guess I just want to say to you today that sometimes the needs that you have will come to you. They will be met in the strangest ways. They'll come from the most unlikely places, from the most unlikely people, in the most unlikely ways. And you may get a need met and think to yourself, this is not the way I thought it should have come to me. This is not what I thought it should look like. This is not who I thought it should come from. But it still met a need. Don't complain about it because you felt entitled to something else. And that will make you a great deal of enemies. And it will make your life miserable. And nobody has to do anything to you to make your life miserable. Just being ungrateful makes you miserable. In fact, one of the greatest secrets to a happy life, and it's not really a secret, but you would think it was to the people who can't be happy, but one of the greatest secrets to happiness is just being thankful. Say thank you. Show the expression on your face. Don't complain. Even when you think that you deserve more. And I'm telling you, the children of Israel didn't think they would wake up in the morning to be on the ground. And they didn't necessarily know what it was. But that's my whole point here, is that it will come to you in the most unlikely ways, in the most unlikely places, from the most unlikely people. But it doesn't mean it's not for you. And it doesn't mean it can't sustain you. Show your gratefulness anyway. Be kind to people. Be kind to people, and every opportunity you can to say thank you, say thank you to everybody. I challenge you to do that today. Wherever you go, whatever you do, find a way to say thank you, show appreciation. You'd be surprised not only what it would do for you, but to the people that you say it to. And don't just utter the words, show it on your face. And let it just be a bottomless well that people know that you should be the kind of person that people know that if they did something for you, you would show your gratefulness. Anyway, that's my bit this morning. Manna, what is it? Well, it's sustenance. It's help in time of need. All right, guys. I will catch you later. I'll catch you in the next one. If you've liked this video, hit the thumbs up. And go ahead and subscribe. And share it if you like. I'd appreciate it. All right. I'll catch you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye.